I'm Jacob Rupp. I am going to start making a couple of these video series because I'm on a mission to help people be more happy and fulfilled through kind of uncovering their true self through authentic spirituality. A little bit of a passion of mine. Thought I'd share it. Come along for the journey. Today I wanted to give 5 tips to being more humble. How to achieve humility. How to become a humble person. Now, what's wrong with not being humble? Well, first of all, if you're on the outside dealing with a person that's like an arrogant whatever, you don't really like those kind of people. And so the problem, if you are that person, is that you might be turning people off who don't want to spend time with you, and you don't even know why they don't like you, because you're arrogant and people don't like arrogant people. But the effects in our own personal lives of not being humble is that we can more or less consistently feel out of control of our environment. We find ourselves being much more prone to anxiety and much more prone to depression. And so learning how to become a more humble person essentially unlocks you from feeling trapped to feeling fulfilled and having a process for feeling fulfilled. And really we see that the greatest people and the greatest in history exhibits humility. Moses was most famous for being the most humble person that ever lived. And we learn that God is also the most humble person that ever lived. So I'm going to borrow a couple of the ideas that they explain and see if we can't try to make some changes in our lives. The 5 steps really are, first of all, focus on what you do. The Bible starts out by talking about how God created the world. But the way that Hebrew actually works is it says the creations started with God. And what the point is, it says that people, like normal people, we always need our name first. And then what we do after that. As I did in this video. I'm Jacob Rupp, and this is what I'm doing. God lets his actions talk. See that beautiful canyon over there? You're like, wow, it's really amazing. The more you get into it, the more you're like, wow, this is really tremendous. So whereas we're focused on putting ourselves first, let me get the recognition, the flip side is that if you just focus on the value of the stuff that you're pushing out, people will naturally gravitate towards you. Rather than asking, am I going to get credit for this? Ask, is this something that's worthwhile? Step 2, have a family. That's a very fascinating concept that I think you really have to do it to appreciate. And the fun thing is that there's a lot of people who think, well, I can offer X, Y, and Z advice, right? I can talk about all these important things. I would like to tell you, I just listened to a beautiful interview, actually, with Blakely from Spanx, forgot her first name, on Lewis Howes, and he asked her, what's more difficult, running a multi-billion-dollar company or being a mom? She said, being a mom, right? So no matter what you do in life, having a family is consistently challenging you to consistently, again, I keep using the word consistently, because every day there's different challenges, right? And so when you are involved in being married and when you're involved in raising children, you can't really be humble. You can't help but be humble because people are always needing stuff for you. You don't have time to sit there necessarily and think about how am I going to make myself feel good today, because the habits that you get into are taking care of other people. And that also you see, what's God doing all day, right? He's taking care of us. He's sitting there and the Talmud says, he's figuring out who's going to get married to each other, right? So, and he's helping us breathe, and he's keeping the world around, right? So a person achieves humility by being focused on the other people in their lives. And you can't help but focus on the things that you created, because they're in your house, they're screaming at you, they're laying with their tush on your face, in pajamas obviously, it just got weird. When you're trying to sleep, my kid just got in bed last night and right? So you can't ignore your family. You can't ignore other people in your life. You can close your door, but your family comes in the door with you, hopefully. So step number 2 is have a family. Step number 3 is to learn how to appreciate what you have. Now, this is a very fundamental point, because we can always complain about what we don't have. And what the people that are always complaining about they don't have, why would I complain about stuff I don't have? Because I feel like I'm entitled to more, right? I get more. There's a Bentley out there somewhere that has my name on it. I'm not driving it yet. So if I'm focused, if I really, and I do, right, think that I should be driving that Bentley, what that means is I'm going to be an arrogant person, because I think, right, I deserve more. But what I'm not doing is focusing on the positive things in my life. And if you would really speak out and understand how much positive you have in your life, just starting with your health, health and the ability that you just work. Imagine, Jews make a blessing after you go to the bathroom, and it's come on, why do you make a blessing for that? The answer is, you have problems in that area, right? You know how much of a blessing it is just to be able to go to the bathroom, right? Build on that family, health, happiness, a home, right? Your spouse, your children, your parents. If you really focus on how much good stuff you have in your life, you're going to be like, dude, I really don't deserve that. I don't deserve it. And so you're not going to be focusing on what I don't have, because you already feel like you already got more than you need. Step number 4 is to be around bigger people. To be around bigger people. It says in Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers, better to be a tail to lions than a head to foxes. Now, if you are always trying to seek out people who suck a little bit less than you do, you're going to be an arrogant person. But if you consistently put yourself around people that are better and smarter and more holy and richer and healthier than you are, yeah, it's tough because you always feel like you're not doing enough. But the reality is you also develop this natural sense that I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. And so you're not going to ever stand up on that pedestal and think that people need to appreciate you, because the guy that's 10 times better than you, he's going to appreciate you? Why should he appreciate you? So you're putting yourself in an environment which will help you be more humble. And finally, this concept that this is very, again, the number 4 about being around better people. So that's kind of hard to understand how God does that. But this thing is tremendous about what God does, is that it teaches us humility, is the idea of bearing the burden, right? Of being patient. What does it mean to be patient? So patient means that you can allow someone else to have their way. Now this concept is the number 1 thing that allows you to free your life. I had an amazing experience where I was speaking at a high school, and the teacher, great, very nice, non-Jewish guy, comes up to me at the end, and he starts talking. I didn't share my own story about how kind of my father left, but he came up and he said that he was having some real drama with his father, and he didn't know what to do, and maybe I should cut him out for my life. And I shared that unfortunately I have a lot of experience in this area, and the reality is that when we feel like we have to have our way, that our spouse has to do X, or our parents have to do Y, or our boss has to do Z, so we live in this prison because everyone's always letting us down. And really where that stems from is a tremendous arrogance, because we think that we're right. We should have the world kind of telling us everything that should just kind of bend to our will. The reality is that if you can bear the burden of other people, they don't really care about you as much as you think they should, right? So other people are doing their own thing, and if you appreciate that other people have a will, and they have at least an equal, or in a lot of cases, greater reason why the world should go according to them than you do, so suddenly you realize that when life's not going your way, you're not going to fall apart. And that the people who are letting you down are not letting you down, really, they're being themselves. And if you have that mindset, you can go into any environment that you are, and you can consistently not be upset. And you consistently be able to appreciate the elements of your life that you do have, than be freaking out about all the stuff that's not going right, and taking it personally, and becoming very dark and bitter and cynical. So, just to summarize, this is a work in progress. And the goal of becoming more humble, besides becoming a heck of a lot more fitting to be spiritual, is that you can live a life where people like being around you, and I think even more importantly, live a life where you like being around you, and where you like being in the world, because you don't feel consistently stressed out, and consistently disappointed, and consistently upset, and that you need people to kind of give you accolades. You can start to realize, like, you're okay yourself, and everyone else is okay themselves, and the world's not meant to go your direction. And once you have that, you can really take that skill set and apply that peace of mind to anything else that you attempt. Thank you.